100 years ago, if you'd looked out across here, you might well have seen big black sails apparently ploughing their way through fields. All an illusion, of course, because in fact the sails would probably have belonged to a wherry like this one, winding its way along the low waterways of the Broads, laden down with their cargo of reeds or coal or perhaps sugar beet. Because in their day, wherries were the transport system around here, until they were nudged out of use as rail and road took over. But not all of them were lost, and some of them are still very hard at work today, like this one, the wherry Albion. Wherrymen used to live aboard their boats all year in cramped conditions, enduring the cold and wet.
We'll just see how it go along like that first.
Wherries could carry up to 40 tons of cargo. Their trade was essential to the tiny communities living alongside the shallow waterways.
In the early days, a lot of the villages had their own wherry. The one at Hickling was the Emily, and that would often go down carrying farm produce, and that would bring up paraffin, coal, and that would be for the whole village. So, say the wherries were very important to the villages.
But in fact, you know all about this because your family go back as wherrymen for, well, how many generations, do you know?
Well, I've got back to 1799 when a chap called Stephen Wright moved his whole family as a wherryman. He moved them from Colshall to Norwich. And I think the reason he did this was because Norwich was then coming a port, and he decided that there would be a lot of work in Norwich, and he moved from Colshall to King Street in Norwich. And the family has been on the water ever since.
When the wind failed, wherrymen shouldered the breeze, quanting with long poles. But the hardest time was when the days grew shorter.
Well, the tough moments were with the winter, when it was really, really cold, ice on the water. But they used to make use of this, because if there was ice on the water, they used to actually collect the ice and sell it down to the fishing fleet at Lowestoft. So they made use of everything they could get on the water.
This particular wherry then, how much would this have cost when it was built?
This was,
what, just over 100 years?
Yeah, this was £455 when that was first built. What that is worth now is, well, it's hard to say, and you couldn't put a price on it today.
And it's weight in gold over the years.
But the cost of keeping this boat going is colossal today.
During her long life, skippers have come and gone, but to keep the Albion seaworthy today is a never-ending task. An eager team of volunteers and fundraisers keep her afloat not only on the waterways of the Broads, but also the open sea. The Albion is one of the few lucky ones. When their time was up, most working wherries were broken up or abandoned to a watery grave, slowly to settle into the mud. Gone, but not forgotten. For the Albion, the Wherry Trust ensured her future, restoring the boat to the standards of her glorious days.
She comes out of the water every 2 years and has her bottom scraped and retarred, and any work that's necessary to be done on the bottom is done at that time. This in this modern day and age is a very expensive process.
When you see the Albion under sail, there's no doubt it's money well spent. But there is one thing that's been puzzling you. Why have wherries got black sails?
The original sails were white, which was the flax canvas. And what they used to do was treat them every year with herring oil and coal tar. And we know they used coal tar because the sail makers, when they used to put the herring oil on, the rats used to eat the sails. They were
like the taste.
Yes, I like the taste.
The coal tar.
So they used to add coal tar to the mix, which made it unpalatable to the rats. And also, when you think about it, we've got a chimney on board here, and all the time they're sailing, the soot smuts are getting on the sails, and it's getting blacker and blacker.
We're going along at a fair old rate, aren't we? We're
actually going against the tide, would you believe? I think we must be doing about 5 to 6 knots.
So what sort of conditions are these? Are they good or not bad? Or?
Good conditions for sailing, but they're hard work.
You're having to put your back into that, Mike,
I certainly have. Yes, I think it is a young mouse. I think the older I get, the harder it gets.
In a moment, we'll see how others manage to scrape a living, not from the land or from the water's surface, but by what lives